Welcome back to NSA Bulls podcast here with Nick and Sean. How the Bulls just lost to the Cavaliers. It was a very disappointing game. Nick, what did you see in that game?
Oh my God, the team is just so inconsistent, as we already know. First half, they was taking care of business, and then they get outscored the second half by 17 points. It's just frustrating. You know, you talk about the Chicago Bulls, and now they've lost 3 straight games, and they just won 3 straight games. So that's just the microcosm of the season. That's how they are. They play well, then they play bad, then they play well, then they play bad. They're not a good basketball team overall in its entirety, but a lot of this stuff is just where they can't focus 100% all throughout the game and come out with a W. I mean, there's going to be mistakes on the game, but they basically have a lot of unforced turnovers. Tonight they had 22 turnovers to Cleveland's 12. That's just the game right there. I mean, you in a division rivals, home gym, you have to play elite basketball to beat them because they're an elite team as well. So Cleveland will be more than likely in semifinals at the very least, and depending on the seeding, they could very well be in the conference finals this season. Just depending on who they got to see in the second round, because I know they get out the first round.
So that's a team teams should really watch out for.
Exactly. And given how last time they went to Cleveland, how that went, right? They got destroyed by Donovan Mitchell. The man put up 71 points. So that's got to be in the back of your mind when you are playing this team again. If as a competitor, you got to say, well, you know what? They really took it to his last game, and we had that game in the bag as well. And coming into that game, they should have taken it personal, in terms of look, this is that time of the season where we got to really hit the pavement. It's not quite second half of the season yet, but it's on the precipice of that. It's getting there. So it's just frustrating that they can't get their act together. There's always things that I don't like. I mean, from your standpoint, what did you see that you just had you just didn't like?
The Bulls, they just don't look like a good team that can just really put it all together, put the pieces together, be on the same page, make shots when they count, defensive stops when they count. I don't know. I kind of mentioned this last week. I just feel like it's a team that teams don't really worry about too much. Other teams come in our building or we're going away, and I feel like they're not really too concerned how good we might play because we're just not consistent.
Vooch had 14 and 14, put up another double-double. He's been doing really well for the Chicago Bulls overall for the season in terms of that category, in terms of those specifics, but it's still things throughout the game where I feel like he gets too much settled into the perimeter, and I feel like they do need to go through him more so in terms of just getting to the inside because it really opens up our offense more. But then they'll do that and they'll get away from that. And then, Zach LaVine and his IQ has not been up to par. He had 23 points tonight, but a lot of turnovers overall, a lot of just unforced turnovers. And I noticed that when he drives to the lane, he basically puts the ball out. He puts the ball out like this, and he's looking for the foul like how James Harden used to do. But overall, you're not James Harden. See, James Harden's created a niche around the league where when he put that arm out, referees are more cognizant of that call and giving him that call. But Zach will put it out a little bit more carelessly. I feel like he needs to look at old footage of Derrick Rose. When Derrick Rose would go to the hole, he would cuff it. He would cuff the ball, protect the ball, and as soon as he gets to the rim, then he let the ball out. Because obviously at that point you got to lay the ball up. But a lot of that, bringing the ball out, just causing issues where what should be an easy layup, what should be an easy bucket, it's not an easy bucket. Or then we getting fouled, we're not converting on the free throws. Overall, though, the free throws wasn't an issue tonight. They shot pretty well in that. But just overall throughout the season, I've noticed that. And then Caruso, once again, I mean, he's played phenomenal on the defensive end for us. But he was out there 21 minutes to play, 0 points. That's just not conducive for winning. We can't win.
Some type of effort.
You gotta do that. He coming up the court and he'll pick up his dribble, and he's just automatically looking to see who I got to get a ball to. He's very Joakim Noah-esque, as a point guard though. But at least Noah had moments where he would, be a little bit more aggressive offensively, even though he's not known as an offensive player. And Caruso needs to do that. I mean, you're still on the perimeter, so When he's catching the ball, he's got to finish. He's got to want to score a little bit, so that way the defense could, not do a 4-on-5 on him.
And you mentioned before how he just needs to score more.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah. Agree.
0 points is what's going on.
Yeah, it's just frustrating when you think about it. If he could just give us a little bit more offense, it'll open up the offense more, and then guys like Ayo can go down there and actually get the layups that he's been trying to get. Well, he will get eventually. So it just opens everything up. And DeRozan didn't play that well tonight either. Looking at the box score, DeRozan puts up 16 points. I mean, that's underperforming for his standards that he's made as a Bull.
Especially for a game against Cleveland.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And, I've noticed, though, like, the last couple of games, DeRozan has not played well. For the season, he's played good, but the last couple of games, he has not played well.
Did DeRozan make the All-Star team?
He did. He did make the All-Star team. But, he put up 16 points, 6 assists, 1 rebound. His help defense wasn't necessarily as good either. Yeah. And I could just tell, I was watching that game, Cleveland was just staying around, like, to make it a close to striking distance. Right, exactly. And they confident in their team. They feel like, well, as long as we can stay close to the Bulls, we can win this game. Yeah. And that's exactly what they did. And then the Bulls started to make unforced turnovers again in the fourth quarter. Yep. Went on this whole scoring drought where they couldn't score at all. I mean, they didn't score. They had 4 points scored for the fourth quarter up until like the 3-minute mark.
Exactly.
That's ridiculous. Yeah. And then what's crazy about the Bulls is right after that, then they go on a 9-1 run. In the last 2 minutes of the game. And, if they would have just applied that energy a little early in the fourth quarter, they probably would have won the game.
Yeah. And then even in the third quarter, because they were winning the game for the majority of the game, and then things started changing in the third quarter.
Yeah.
And it's like, what was the same effort and energy that you had for the first 2 quarters?
Exactly. They are really, really, really difficult to watch as Bulls fans because you see the talent, you see the capability, and they just won't do it for all 48 minutes. And that's their problem. It's just frustrating, Looking at Kobe White, he put up 4 points, 4 rebounds, and 20 minutes of play, right? So we back to what I was saying, what we was talking about last episode. It said, like, we cannot afford to have multiple guards on the perimeter that's getting 20-plus minutes underperforming. Like, the way our team is built, Kobe can't have a bad game as well as Caruso not scoring, right? And then Ayo is trying as hard as he can, but, he's still trying to learn the NBA game a little bit, too. He's in the second season.
So the lack of offensive production Caruso is providing, that's putting more pressure on guys like Kobe White.
Exactly.
On a regular night-in basis.
Exactly. So it's just the fact, like, okay, we got 27 minutes by Don Sumo. He only scored 6 points. So when you think about it, you got 10 points out of 3 guys combined. And combined, you got 27 minutes from Ayo. You got 21 minutes from Caruso. 20 minutes from Kobe White, right? Mm-hmm. That's over 60 minutes of play. I mean, the game is only 48 minutes long, but if you combine all of that, you only got 10 points from all 3 of those guys. So you're getting 10 points from them.
From your guards.
From your guards. So here's the thing. If DeRozan is going to have a bad shooting night, they need to learn how to pick it up, right? Because great players or good players or leaders of teams, they are allowed to have a bad game, right? But that's what makes good teams, right? We've seen it growing up where role players like the Derek Fishers of the world, right? The Rick Foxes of the world, right? You can count them all out there, right? The Bruce Bowens of the world, right? Yep. When the core guys are not playing well, they know how to pick it up just a little bit where, just a little bit for their team to get the W. Yeah. Just like, okay, but you guys can't come out of games with 10 points on over 20 minutes per player. Right. That's inexcusable. It is. You can't do that. If you want to win this game or you want to win the game, you got to realize that, and I mean, it's like I said, it's easier said than done, but you have to give them something offensively, production wise, because it's just not enough. it's not enough for what they putting out, and for DeRozan to have a bad game for us to still come out with that victory.
Right.
It's not. Yeah, so it's just frustrating. So you look at this game. They got Orlando Magic next. I see them winning that game. I don't think they've lost 4 straight games this season, but they've lost a lot of games in a certain stretch. So their antennas are going to be up against Orlando.
Yeah.
But then again, Jalen Suggs, he loves to see the Chicago Bulls. Last time we saw them hit the game winning shot on us, right? And then you also got Wendell Carter. That used to play for the Bulls. That was in that Vooch trade.
Loves to play against us.
Loves to play the Bulls, and he's gonna play well. I would assume if he's on the court.
The Bulls are just like free game. It seems like.
Yeah,
game.
My other issue with the Bulls is their attitude. Like I just feel like they really too lackadaisical. They don't have that energy to me as a fan. Where are they upset at how they're performing? Or are they just like, we'll get the next game? Like their energy just seems like, it's not that big of a deal.
Right.
And they're too mellow for how bad they're playing.
Yeah.
You usually get like that when you've been winning so much and you just real relaxed, but they're not winning.
Right.
So, and it's like, it's been a rough season, and you would think that, what's the switch where you guys gonna be like, look, I'm really pissed off now. We gotta play better. And I mean, it starts with them. It starts all with them. It's not where teams are forced them to do certain things. Yeah. It's just ultimately that they also don't read and react. I mean, what they do is they'll just try to run the same play in the same sets.
Yeah.
Right. So it was plays right in the fourth quarter where, Zach LaVine, they're trying to get his ball back to Vooch, right, off of a pick and pop, right. But Cleveland overplayed it and realized that's what they were going to do. But Zach still tried to jam the pass in there.
Force the ball.
Exactly. Yeah. You can't, listen. Guys are just going out there and just saying, look, I'm just going to run the play like how the play is supposed to be, right? Not realizing, you have to improvise. You have to do something else. Like, this team is not going to allow you to run it like you in practice.
Exactly.
But
as a professional who has been playing for 9 years, you would think he'd be able to understand that.
Exactly. And I noticed something about Zach. He plays better when he's not thinking. When he's trying to overthink a little bit, he makes a lot of mistakes.
But you mentioned that we don't really have sets that really cater to his game.
Yeah.
So maybe he feel like he's limited in that capacity because he's not able to not think. He may be forcing issues that he wouldn't even necessarily put himself in naturally.
Yeah, that's a valid point you make up too. And going back to that point you did bring up, it's just we talk about them not being able to get stops in transition. Zach is known. Well, Zach and his athleticism obviously will really shine in that. Being able to get out in the transition. Guys like him, guys like Vince Carter back in the day. Those kind of players, it really builds the confidence as the game goes on. Their rhythm is predicated on just getting up and running. And notice, I might have said this before, but their pace of play alters based on DeRozan in the lineup or DeRozan not in the lineup. When DeRozan's not in the lineup, it's just frustrating, man. When DeRozan's not in the lineup, they play with a more fast pace, right? They get out to go. They're trying to score within 6-7 seconds in the shot clock. But when DeRozan's in the game, they slow it down. They slow it down a lot. And they gotta get out of that.
Wait until the end of the shot clock to shoot the ball.
Exactly. They're waiting on what he gonna do. And ultimately I feel like DeRozan's still athletic as well, so he can run as well. But they don't have an identity. They try to do various sort of things, and it's just you guys got to have a true identity of what are you trying to accomplish out here. And there's going to be teams not going to allow you to do everything, but
it just doesn't seem like it's a good fit. Just all around, even starting with DeRozan and Zach LaVine. Because as you mentioned before, Zach LaVine is so sporadic. No real direction. Obviously not really a leader because he makes these bonehead these bonehead plays. So you expect your leader to just have more sense in situations. And then you have DeMar DeRozan, who's more going to be set in his ways. So that's why we see these defensive let-ups that he might have, because his energy is not in all areas. It might just be like what he wants to do, because he is a veteran and he's been playing like this for most of his career. So it's just like, what is it? What's really going on? Why can't we get it together?
It is a bad fit. It's the best way to put it. I mean, obviously we had high hopes of this roster last season, but this season is completely different. And you can chalk it up for different reasons, but the fit is not right. The fit is not right. And then Billy Donovan, his coaching needs to be addressed as well. It's just not hitting to the team. It's not resonating. I don't know what they need, but it ain't this. I can be speculative and, just say what I think they need. But ultimately, there's a lot of things that they need to adjust on, and they just, have a lot of issues from the, unforced turnovers to, just a lot of issues in terms of like what they want to do out there. They stagnate. Patrick Williams a lot of times too. He's not looking for a shot enough. And it's just creates a lot of like, am I overstepping somebody else? Do I want to shoot this time, or am I passing it? And they got the wrong mix out there.
They're not comfortable in their own game.
Exactly. They got the wrong mix out there, and yeah, it's just frustrating. But in other news, excluding the Bulls, did you see Kyrie Irving in his second game with Dallas against the Sacramento Kings?
No. What did he do? He
killed it, man. He put up 25 and 10.
Oh, wow.
Dallas is now 2-0 now.
Okay.
Since they acquired Kyrie Irving.
So he's picking up where he left off.
He's picking up right where he left off. Yeah. He's playing exceptional for them.
And I think tonight Luka's coming back.
Yeah.
So that's going to be good to see them two playing together.
Yeah. So, the talent is definitely going to be really scary to defend.
Yeah.
You got two primetime players, fourth quarter performers as well, too. So, yeah, it's going to be tough. The Western Conference is stacked and loaded now.
So was it Ja Morant that maybe sparked this competition in the West? Like, what happened?
It might have been. I mean, he just talking too much, man, you know, and now they got Kevin Durant over there now too. Kevin Durant is a Phoenix Sun now. He requested the trade,
Could you believe that when it happened?
I was pretty shocked.
Yeah.
Because I went to bed, just knowing about, the earlier trades, like the Russell Westbrook, right? And then you wake up in the morning like, wait, hold up. Kevin Durant is now in Phoenix now? Yeah. Oh, Lord. So
I didn't see that coming.
No, I didn't see it coming either. I know he initially tried to get to Phoenix before this season kicked off.
Okay.
But, I didn't think that he was going to do it again.
So is it dumb for KD to even leave Golden State in the first place if he's just going to go to another contending team like Golden State?
Yeah, I think ultimately, like, he just let his, like I said before, I just think he let his pride block his rationale.
Yeah.
He wasn't thinking clearly. He was reacting to what he heard other people saying. And a lot of people didn't want him on that team, and they had their own agendas why they didn't want him on that team. But, he listened to it, and it allowed him to get out of his what would have been the best thing for him.
Yeah.
And,
And now the Phoenix Suns, they're not like that Golden State team, are they?
The Phoenix Suns?
Yeah. Or how would you measure those teams together when KD went to the Warriors and now KD going to the Phoenix Suns?
Well, I mean, the obvious difference, the fact that Golden State is a champion when he got over there, right? But Phoenix got a team that they just went to the finals with like a couple of years ago, and they didn't really lose any big pieces either to get them. So they still got DeAndre Ayton.
Who did they lose? They lost Bridges.
Yeah, they lost Mikal Bridges. They lost Mikal Bridges.
And Crowder.
Yep.
So, I mean, but, you could probably still make do without those guys.
Yeah, especially if you don't get Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
I mean, that's scary.
The defense stays the same, though.
Yeah. But now they got Devin Booker, Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton, and Kevin Durant. That's tough, man.
So
that's tough.
Are they the favorites now in the West?
Well, they was already a 5th seed currently, right at the moment.
Yeah.
So it's easy to say they're a favorite.
Yeah.
It's easy to say them at the favorite because this is a good team already, and now you just added a superstar in Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
So
would it be a failed season if they don't win the championship?
I think I'll chalk it up as a failed season if they don't win the championship next year.
Okay.
Because I always look at it that when you get big acquisitions midway through the year like that, it takes some time to adjust for players to adjust to, especially other talented perimeter players like Devin Booker to adjust to. How am I going to play off this? You know what I mean?
But they should be expected to get to get to a certain point in the playoffs, like maybe second round.
Possible. Very possible. I mean, I can see them having issues with teams that have a lot more chemistry, that have MVP level player like Denver Nuggets. I can see them having issues with that.
I think that's the team to beat right now in the West.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think if you, logically speaking, I think so too.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you got teams up there that got more talent, but in terms of cohesiveness, in terms of everybody knowing what they're doing out there and being comfortable in their role, I got to give it to Denver as, the top Western Conference team until, we see something with Phoenix, right? I mean, obviously, talent-wise, Phoenix got more talent.
Right.
I mean, that's clear as day, but I feel like from a chemistry standpoint, all the little nuances that matter in winning a championship or getting far, Denver has that extra nod, I would say.
So did the Grizzlies, Ja Morant, did he shoot himself in the foot or his chances of getting far before KD was kind of shaky anyway?
I thought it was a little shaky anyway. Now, currently right now, they're second in the Western Conference.
Yeah. So
they're playing pretty well. They without Steven Adams. He's been injured a little bit. But ultimately, I can see why he's so confident, and obviously it's important to be confident in order for your team to move to the next level.
Yeah.
But it's a little premature because he's only been in one playoff series. His first playoff series was last year.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. His first playoff series was the year before last.
Okay, 2 years ago.
Yeah. So, but the most success he's had, though, was last year in the playoffs because he went to the second round. So he's still got a lot more career left, obviously.
Yeah.
And, I think he just want to make sure his team and his, him being a leader of the team, he just want to make sure that his players are confident.
Yeah.
And they all young guys too.
Yeah.
With the exception of Steven Adams. I mean, he young too. He ain't even 30 years old yet. They have a lot to learn and they're going to be a force to be reckoned with, but I got Phoenix over them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially with Chris Paul's veteran leadership. KD, his skill, Devin Booker and his skill. You can't double team anybody.
Yeah. So
that's going to be really, really tough. So,
did you see LeBron's ceremony?
Did I see LeBron's ceremony?
Yeah.
Which one? I gotta say which one because he did it twice, right?
Oh, it was 2 ceremonies?
Well, when he got the scoring record,
okay,
it was like that
that
ceremony that day, right?
Yeah. Oh, it was a ceremony.
Well, I mean, it was kind of like Kareem was there passing the ball.
The end of the game.
No, it was the game was still they paused the game, game against Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
The game against Oklahoma City when
they paused the game to celebrate.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was about 10 minutes. They paused the game. And so they paused the game. I mean, they do this for all guys when they break the record, right? Okay. But it was a little bit more exalted though. I will say that.
Yeah.
So they paused the game. Oklahoma City was on a run too.
Okay.
Right. So they kind of messed up their rhythm a little bit. That's what they basically did.
Okay.
But ultimately, celebrate LeBron, all-time scoring record, well-deserved, right? And then they went back to the game. Oklahoma City won the game.
Right.
But when you say that question, what happened after that?
Because there was another ceremony, right? Where he was in a suit. His family was there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That was another day.
That was the next game that he didn't play.
Right. And
so
what's up with that? Is he picking and choose? I mean, the players obviously pick and choose, but he got his milestone, and now he's just not playing for a while.
Well, I don't know. They're saying that he got some type of, they're saying that he got some type of issue with his foot, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Some lingering pain, but, of course, typical fashion, he waits until he got that record first.
Of course.
to that gets brought up. But ultimately, though, this Lakers season is terrible.
Yeah, they got some upgrades though.
They have made some upgrades,
actually,
but
the team right now looks pretty good. I remember when we talked about early in the season, it would be some bullshit if they get a terrible record and then get the number 1 pick, projected number 1 pick.
we did talk about that.
What if that happens? You guys heard it here.
That's true. That's a valid point.
Because they have going into next year, the Lakers potentially have a really good team.
They do.
Well, not really. I shouldn't exaggerate.
They got good talent.
They have a solid bunch of guys.
Yeah, I mean, and then they got D'Angelo Russell back. You can never write it off, though. When you talk about the Lakers, you talk about storied franchises and how they just be getting talent.
Yep.
You can never write it off, man. So it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting what comes up next with them.
So for the people out there that might think we're LeBron haters, we don't hate LeBron James. We just kind of pick on the fans and pick on the NBA as a whole. Wouldn't you say that, Nick?
Oh yeah. I mean, personally, I look at it as, listen, like, I just think it's being objective. You got to be objective. You're going to list what he accomplished. You got to list what he didn't accomplish when we trying to compare apples and apples to like other players and stuff like that. But ultimately, I mean, the guy is one of the greatest players of all time. Anybody who say that he isn't, I mean, that's a hater right there. I mean, you got to be a hater at that point. But yeah, I mean,
Well, you say he's the second?
I would say, yeah, the second, if not second, probably third.
Okay. Because I was talking, what about Kobe? So would you put Kobe at number 2?
That's a tough conversation.
That is tough.
I really do flip flop on this topic.
I feel like nowadays people are quick to say LeBron's at least 2. You're gonna have those guys out there or girls that say LeBron's number 1, but I feel like people are still kind of like a nice amount of people are still putting up like saying Mike is still a number 1 person. So people kind of agree on LeBron is at least 2.
Yeah,
but what about Kobe?
Kobe got to be at least top 5. At least top 5. At least for me, he got to be at least top 5. So I feel like a lot of things can't be measured just by stats. You got to like really like watch those games and see everything. But it's tough, man. It's tough. I mean, if you got Kobe after Jordan, I can't knock it.
Right.
I can't. If you got LeBron after Jordan,
I can't knock that.
I can't knock that either.
All right.
I can't knock that either.
It kind of comes down to what you want.
Yeah.
What are you interested in more?
Yeah.
You looking for that killer, or are you looking for somebody that can pretty much do a lot more, like do anything?
Exactly. I don't know.
For me, I feel like I'm gonna take the killer. I'm gonna take the dog.
Yeah.
Somebody can close the game out.
Yeah. I feel like Kobe is more than just. I mean, he's a killer, no question about it. But I also feel like he was a better defender too.
Okay. Oh, really?
Yeah, I think he was a better defender overall. I mean, like the chase down blocks LeBron get, that's all good, right?
Okay.
But when you look at it, he 9-time all defensive first team.
Kobe.
Yeah. 9-time all defensive first team. LeBron been in the league 20 years and he's 5-time all defensive first team. Neither one of them got a defensive player of the year, but I feel like
Mike got defensive player of the year, right?
Yeah, Mike got defensive player of the year. 9-time all defensive first team for him as well. So the only guards in NBA history that have been 9-time all defensive is Gary Payton, Kobe Bryant, and Michael Jordan. Those are the only guards that got
That's elite.
9-time all defensive first team. And then Gary Payton also is defensive player of the year. And those are the only 2 guards.
If he would have got an MVP,
other than Marcus Smart, obviously.
If Gary Payton would have got MVP, that would have been nice.
That would have been nasty. But going back to what you asked, I mean, Kobe being number 2, can't knock that.
Okay.
I can't knock that at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
So why do you think people are so quick to say LeBron is at least number 2, or say LeBron is better than Kobe?
I think it's just recency bias a lot of times too. I think to answer your question, I think it's a mixture depending on who you're talking to. I think the current player always gets like a nod for the most part
because it's fresh.
It's fresh on the brain. You can see what's going on more.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it also has to do with the fact that LeBron in the individual accolade category has exceeded Kobe Bryant. You know,
MVPs.
Exactly. The more MVP thing, almost as many rings, but Kobe still got to beat out on that. So you got LeBron fans, something that will say, well, yeah, he already passed him up. You know, that's what they would say. I think it's just preference at that point, you know, because we was watching basketball for real back then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I look at it like this. LeBron got the league in 2003, right? But from 2003, when he got in the league, to about 2010, 2011, I say. That stretch, Kobe Bryant was the best player in the game. Best player in the game, bro. He was the best player in the game. I mean, if you was watching basketball back then, like I ain't talking highlights. I'm talking you was watching the game. Everybody knew who the best player in the game was. It was like Kobe Bryant is the best player in the game. Whether you liked him or not, you knew he was the best player in the game. Now, 2012 to about 2019, you say LeBron the best player in the game.
Okay.
Even though he was losing titles against Curry and all of them, people thought individually he's the best player in the game, right? So that's what I would say as far as that. And then 2020 up, it's been a coin flip, probably more so Giannis been the best player. Now,
you do hear a lot of people say that.
Yeah. So you'd probably say like Giannis, right? Now, and then here's the thing, like LeBron, like, well, I'll say that for both of them. And that's the thing. That's what makes it hard, because when I look at their careers, there was always somebody else stealing a little bit of their shine away too. Like Tim Duncan was taking some shine away from Kobe, right? He just wasn't as sexy looking, aesthetically pleasing as, you know, Kobe Bryant in terms of like watchability, right? Jokic is like a lot like Tim Duncan, like he's simple. Basic fundamentalist. He's going exactly not going to be too flashy, barely jump off the ground, but he kills you, you know. And his team is a very high IQ basketball team, right? And they win games off wit. They win games off wit and make the right play. That's how they win games. They don't win games off I'm gonna just overpower you and you know, show you that my talent is better than yours. They're not gonna win like that,
right? Or luck.
Exactly. Exactly. So a lot of that is just like how Tim Duncan used to be, right? Then you got, you know, Steph Curry, right? Curry individually has seasons better than LeBron, right? But overall, you still looked at it like LeBron's still a better player, though, individually, right? Just like Derrick Rose, to me, had a better 2011 season than LeBron. But LeBron was still a better basketball player, though. Overall, he's a better basketball player, just not better that season. Same thing with like the Curry thing, right? But overall, if you was, you know, you watching basketball back then, you still taking LeBron over Curry. You know, you would take him over Curry, but yeah. So all these players got their era, but that era in particular, the Kobe era, that was a sight to see. That was a sight to see. I mean, every night the man was put up some scoring numbers, was just like ridiculous. I remember us back in high school, what was going on back then. You know, everybody talk about the 81-point game, but he had a lot of games where it was just like, dude, did you see
40?
Yeah. You remember that time when he put up four straight 50-point games?
Sheesh. I do remember that.
Yeah, that was the 2007 season. Yep. So we was like sophomores in high school at the time. It was a monster, man.
Do you think Kobe, how many more MVPs Kobe should have had?
I think he should have had at least one more.
At least?
At least one more. Meaning he should have probably got like two more, but I think at the least, if he didn't get two more, he should have gotten one. The one I think he should have got in particular is the 2007 one.
And how many MVPs does LeBron have?
LeBron got 4, but he should have won?
Do you think he's deserving all 4? Or he deserving more?
I think he deserved 4, but you can make a case for about one more, maybe.
So maybe that makes LeBron better than Kobe Bryant. Then.
It's very possible, yeah. It's very possible. I can't knock anybody who'll say I think he's better than Kobe. But I prefer Kobe though. I prefer
it's a
Kobe.
preference thing.
Yeah, I prefer Kobe. Even though I sound like I said the opposite. Yeah. I prefer Kobe, but I understand when people say LeBron. Yeah. You know, on that. So can't knock it.